Welcome to Rugby to Romaniacs. I'm Tom, owner of MotorFit. Today, we are going to run you through a fitness test series. This is a series of tests that I have put together over the years for my one-to-one clients and professional riders. Starting off with a metabolic test. Some of you may not know what a metabolic test is. Basically, this is a resting test, which we do fasted. No caffeine for 24 hours leading up to it. And it's a 10-minute test, which is going to give us a breakdown then of our metabolic rate, our respiratory function, some cardiac function, resting heart rate, if there's any heartbeat irregularities, any heart murmurs, etc. But the purpose of this test is for fueling. It's going to give us, one, our daily calorie allowance. That's obviously hugely important for both my nutrition on a day-to-day basis and fueling for an event. Then hugely important that we know where we are from a base setting, and then also from our sort of fat to carb burn ratio. So how much of the percentage of calories that we're burning is fat and how much carb, and then that then is absolute gold then, especially do an event like Romaniacs, simply down to the fact that with carbs, obviously most people would be in a higher carb burn, but we've found a lot of people that have extremely high fat burning efficiency, which means that they can, one, use stored body fat as fuel, but also have that ability then to use dietary fat. And if we're using fat to refuel and to fuel our races, it means that if we're carrying it on us, or in terms of the quantity of food that we're going to be consuming, we're getting more bang for buck because there's more grams of, or more calories in a gram of fat than there is in carbohydrate and protein especially. But for a fueling point of view, we're going to be looking at how much carbohydrate do we need, how much fat do we need as well to maximize my race day nutrition. After that, then we're going to go through a series of strength testing. Over the years, we've used a simple formula for optimal strength, and this has had a lot of interest, especially when we've posted this on Instagram and social media. We do just a normal push and pull test, so that's a bench press and a pull-up. We're going to do a squat, obviously with my knees, having had multiple surgeries. I do a box squat, and if anything, it just transfers better from that seated to that standing position as well. Once we get that right, we're going to do a deadlift. And then we're going to finish off the testing series then with the holy grail of fitness tests, which is the VO2 test. This is going to show how efficient we are from an aerobic point of view. We're going to have our heart rate training zones. So hugely important that we know what parameters that we need to be in. And then especially then when we are working at certain heart rates, that VO2 test, when we get the reports back, will give us a breakdown then of how many calories per minute, the breakdown of fat to carb, and then, yeah, like I said, we're leaving no stone unturned then from a fueling aspect going into Romaniacs. So here we are. Let's get into it. First up is our metabolic test. So this is the device that we use to calculate metabolic tests, to calculate VO2s and various other aerobic and anaerobic tests, threshold tests, for example. Pinoy are based in the United States. We've worked with them for the last 5-6 years. We'll send off the reports today. It'll take between 5 and 7 days to come back, and then we'll have a hugely comprehensive report then that we can revert to. But in order for us to maximize our data and to ensure that we're, getting accurate data, this is a company that we've used for years and years, which is Polar. I use the Polar Grit, and I also use the Polar HR10. Previously, we were using like Apple Watches, and we've smashed and lost countless Apple Watches while riding a bike. The beauty of the HR10 is that when we're riding, when we're training, mountain biking, gravel biking, whatever, and in the gym, you don't have to have the watch, the wrist-based stuff to calculate the data. You can start it using the app on your phone, and then all the data then will be saved to the inbuilt storage on the heart rate strap, and then you can download afterwards. Still GPS, so if you're going out mountain biking or if you're doing an enduro, hugely beneficial. Then you can just get back and download the data without risk of smashing or losing a few £100 Apple Watch or Garmin. The strength testing, that's the metabolic test done. Now we're into, as an ex-rugby player, my favorite movement, the bench press. This isn't a dick swinging contest to be like, oh, how much can you bench, blah, blah, blah. This is literally functional. And I always relate this to power to weight ratio. So if we're looking at, for instance, a 100 kg rider, over the years we've said, you know, we've had riders say to us, oh, I don't need to bench 100 kilos, that's, you know, that's stupid. So we use a ratio for optimal strength over the years that served us very well. Body weight bench press, okay, so that's a seated bench press. Box squat would be 1.5 your body weight. And then if you're doing a deadlift, that would be double body weight. And over the years, we've had a little bit of kickback on this, especially on a few of our videos saying, oh, there's no way an enduro rider needs to be able to bench press 100 kilos. Well, no, they don't. But you need to be able to manage your own body weight. So if you weigh 100 kilos, you should be able to bench it. And if that, you know, if that's not the case, well, we need to be looking at dropping body weight and increasing strength and meeting maybe halfway. So I'm just going to warm up, okay? I'm going to start off with a light set of 10 reps. We probably go into a set of 5, heavy 5, around 70%, 75, 80, and then once we get to in and around that maximal set, we'll look at putting a 1 repper together then. If you were doing this on your own, I'm fortunate that I got James to spot me here, but if you're doing it on your own, I would say go a technical 3 rep max, because you know on that second one whether you're going to get the 3rd rep is a little bit safer, as well as the box squat, okay? So in we go. Let's get into it. This is 50 kilos. So I think I'm around, we haven't jumped on the scale yet, but I would say I'm about 90 kilos. And over the next, fucking hell, Jimbo. Nearly killed myself before starting. Don't do what I just did. We're going to go into a set of 10, nice and steady. 60 now. We're going to go into a set of 5, okay? Rock solid. We're not at a weight yet where we need to get anyone to spot us. We'll shake these tries out. Driving my heels into the floor, not arching like a power lifter, but just staying as neutral as you can. And when you're dropping that bar down, try and have a neutral grip and just get it to touch that sternum and then come back up, okay? Just get my shit together here. That's 110. Right, guys, we are into the box squat. So this bench, if anything, is a little bit too high for me. So if I was feet flat on the floor, they're going into that seated position, I'd be looking ideally at 90 degrees at that femur. But if anything, this is a better position for me because it just takes the load off the knee, given my history and what have you. But like I said, this is so much more transferable to the bike, seated to the standing position. And with me being 90 kilos, really speaking, we need to be looking at around 145 for optimal strength. Is that right, Jim? 145? But one thing I will say, I forgot my other trainers in the house. We're in the studio above the garage today at home. But trainers like this aren't suitable for gym work. If you're in the gym, you want to have a nice neutral sole, something that you can spread your feet out, grip the floor, generate torque in those joints. These are running trainers. So use them for your running if that's what you like to do, okay, guys? So I'm going to come out of those things into a barefoot squat. And the little tip as well, obviously with the sport that we're in, if you have had ankle injuries, broken tibs, like lower tibs, and you're restricted a little bit on that ankle mobility, a good little tip is to get into that depth is to use, maybe this one's a little bit too big, but you can use something to go under your heel, what that does then is will create more range within that joint to allow you to get into a better position. That better position then means that we don't compromise through our spine, that we can stay nice and neutral, because we need to be protecting that spine at all costs, especially during a heavy squat, okay? So let's get into it. So we've got 60K on the bar. I'd be going in sort of shoulder width grip, pinching my traps back to sit on my shoulders, coming up, back out of that. We're just gonna go into a set of 5, coming through, brace that midline, keep everything nice and tight. I am sitting back a little bit just to take that load off the quad and hamstring a little bit. Because I find, when you're sat on the bike, you're not constantly loaded, you are sat in that dead position. So again, everything that we do is transferable. So we're gonna jump up now into 90 kilos. Typically what I found is that guys that come with us for testing will be able to manage their body weights, upper body. So if you have a 75, 80 kilo rider, they can manage their presses. But what we find then is when we come onto the lower body stuff, the weight is often the same. So a huge gap. So we'll see where we are today. But like I said, we don't usually struggle with the strength side of things, given our background. So this is 90 kilos. We're going to go into a set of 5 again, bracing that midline, coming down, squeeze, sending those hips back. 5 there, that was pretty comfortable. Like I said, if anything, if I'm being really picky, I would like to go a little bit deeper, only a smidge, but we're not going to be a million miles off it today anyway. And then we're into the deadlift stuff. So this is, we'll probably jump up a bit more than that. 130. And I'd be running out of weight here then. So if I can do this for a set of 5, to be honest, I know that I'd be there or thereabouts then for a 145 for 1. So that'll be another tick in the box, hopefully. So James is on the camera. James, just keep an eye there. I think we'll be okay. Rock solid. Come up, step back. Look neutral, hips back, squeeze. Good. That felt pretty comfortable. I could probably go another 10, 20 on there, I would say. Like I said to you, I'm due an injection on this knee next week. It's been giving me a bit of grief for the last 6 months. So I want to get that injection. Not cortisone, like I said, hyaluronic acid, which is a bit more friendly on the joint, which when I do multiple day events, even if I don't dab or if I don't crash, which is not very often these days, just by being on the bike, the bumps up and down, my knees blow up, and we've got a game ready, and we've got used compression and everything, but just do the sheer amount of surgery and work that we've had in there is prone to swelling. So I just want to do everything that I can that we're not going to be governed then or restricted during an event like Romaniacs, that I have to be, worrying about my knee or whatever. Not that we have any pain with it, but it is just prone to swelling. So that's another tick in the box there, guys. Hey. Now we are into the VO2 Max, which means I have to put a set of cycling bibs on to save the old ass. Today, I'm not going to be clipping in because I do usually, but I'm just struggling with the knee a little bit and being in that fixed position. So I'm going to use the trainers on that. And yeah, it's around 12 minutes. So basically we start off, let me turn this down. We start off at a base ramp test. So we go up in increments of 30. So we'd start off at like 70 watts, obviously gathering the heart rate data with a mask on. Starting off at 70 watts as 3-minute base test, and then we go 100 watts, 130, and we go up every minute in 30-watt increments until complete failure, and hopefully then we'll send that data off then to Pinoe, who are based in the States. A couple of days then we'll get the reports back, and then that will give us the data then from our heart rate thresholds, from our training zones, and my peak VO2 as well then. So if we need to be focusing a little bit more in a specific area, we'll know what area that is. I'm just going to go on the bike now for around 5 to 10 minutes just to warm up properly, because going into a VO2 cold is not going to give me an accurate score. So just going to get a bit of blood into the legs. We'll set the system up then, and then we'll get cracking.